Morning. It's turned out nice again. I do apologise if you haven't been watching my videos the last couple of days. I do have a chest infection, bad throat, etc. And I don't feel very good. We did a stream last night on here, and it was amazing. I was humbled and somewhat embarrassed by the support I got last night on here. We had a really good time. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, we have a stream on a Saturday night on here, and we do start off talking about the football. Listen to some music, have a few drinks, talk about other things. We had a few calls. Really good fun, and I'm so very grateful to those of you that came along last night and participated. We had a lot of regulars in there, and we had a lot of new faces as well, which is always really nice. And this might sound corny, but I genuinely wouldn't want to do anything else on a Saturday night other than stream on here with you guys and talk to you guys. I love a night out. I love seeing my friends and doing stuff, but the crack that we have on here, it's really good. I like it. Thank you. So we will be doing one next Saturday, alright? So if you come along next Saturday, 7:30 PM UK time on here, I don't think we're doing one the following week, so make sure you come next week. I don't know what time I went to bed. I think it was about 4 AM, something like that. I don't know. You're trying to keep me up even longer, but I was dying. I shouldn't have streamed last night, to be honest with you. We survived, didn't we? Just got a croaky voice, that's all. So Sundays, I don't know about you guys, but Sunday's my favourite day of the week, without a doubt. Just off camera here, to the left, is today's roast dinner preparations. There's a chicken in. I like chicken, mate, on a Sunday. Don't get me wrong, I like beef and pork and all that, but I like chicken. It reminds me of when I was a kid, with my nana and granddad, and Sunday was like a big deal back in the day. And it's a tradition that I've always stuck to, When my kids were here, when they were little, we'd always have a Sunday dinner together, and just that one day a week. And who remembers when maybe your dad used to, or your granddad or whatever, would go to pub on a Sunday, but he had to come home, didn't he, when they shut in the afternoon for a couple of hours. Them old licensing laws. They were good times. So, I wanted to talk to you about the James Pearce, Jurgen Klopp, I was going to say drama from yesterday, but it wasn't that. It's just football. It's passion and anger. The boss was angry after the defeat. He called James Pearce out, and the thing is, I thought it was brilliant. Right? I like it when any journalist gets pulled up. I don't, however, like it when a journalist is put down by a manager and belittled when they have just asked, a fair question. But the question that James Pearce asked, I can't remember what it was, and I don't care because I just enjoyed seeing him get put down. And if you're watching this, James, it's not because I dislike you in the slightest. I actually think James Pearce is a good journalist. He writes good articles, he's knowledgeable, but he falls into that category, I think, of, just being like a pen pusher, just doing towing the line. We talk about this a lot, don't we? And unfortunately, these journalists, the industry's so, try not to swear, so messed up today, that they, desperately need to rely on access and relationships, and they don't hold the power anymore. They used to hold a lot of power, I'm going to write this about you and all that if you don't cooperate and stuff. And I think those days are gone in football because the clubs have such a good control over news, really, thanks to social media. So I understand why James Pearce is like he is. It just disappoints me when he belittles supporters. That's the one thing. That's it. I think that is why so many people enjoyed seeing James Pearce get snubbed yesterday. There will be people that say, no, I enjoyed seeing him get snubbed because he's an FSG apologist and he's in their pocket and all that. I don't think he's in their pocket in the slightest. The definition of that, I don't mean financially, he's not going to say anything to rock the boat with FSG. And that bothers me about journalists, right? Because you don't want a journalist to stir things, you don't want a journalist just to always nod. A proper journalist asks the tricky questions and isn't frightened of asking them. However, in today's industry, they lose their access, they could lose their job, they could lose their house if they've got a mortgage or whatever, so you keep your mouth shut. So there'll be some of you that don't like James Pearce because of that, although some of you will say he's been a little bit more critical recently. I think when a journalist completely changes their stance and goes in, it's usually because they feel there's going to be a change. So they've got nothing to lose, right? So if you think about it, FSG at the club, you continue writing positively or sidestepping things. But then when you know they're off, if you knew they were definitely going to leave, you could say what you wanted, couldn't you? You think, well, they're not, if they lose my access, I'll get it back when they've gone, So I always look for that. I always look to see if a journalist changes the way they write. But James Pearce is, he makes their life too easy. So he's knowledgeable, but it's a shame. Anyway, the reason why I personally enjoyed seeing him get slapped down yesterday was purely because of the times when he's, incited and belittled Liverpool supporters on Twitter. When Liverpool, maybe the fans have been critical of, the investment in the squad or the lack of it. And then Liverpool, have a convincing victory, and he'll go on Twitter and, where are the next spend boys? They're quiet tonight. And I just find that kind of stuff really, not helpful, very immature. And I think it's because of that, James, that so many people took joy in seeing you slapped yesterday. Because if you come across as, what was the word we used yesterday? Was it pretentious? If you just come across as being a bit smug and smarmy, then people are going to enjoy it when you get slapped down. You should never listen, right? Everyone's entitled to their opinions when it comes to football, and especially supporting Liverpool Football Club. And I don't like anyone that belittles anyone, because it just means they're passionate. So they might say something stupid from time to time. Well, we know they do say something stupid from time to time, but it's emotion and reaction, and the spur of the moment. Like yesterday, Klopp probably wouldn't have done that normally, but he was angry, he was emotional, so he snapped. But it means that people are passionate. It means that people are passionate. And when you see the likes of James Pearce retweeting, or, who is it used to do it all the time, didn't he? The chap that was running Liverpool Football Club, Peter Moore, was it? He used to do that. People are saying he'd retweet it, and then all the top reds would jump on someone, and he knew what he was doing. So I'm glad he's not near the club anymore. Didn't like him at all. For those reasons, mocking people. Now, I've had a bit of time to think about the James Pearce, I nearly said Rafa Benitez, James Pearce, Jurgen Klopp thing yesterday. And yes, it was funny yesterday. And yes, I enjoyed seeing him get slapped down for why I've just explained, for belittling people and being smarmy. But I do think it was a big, I thought it was a massive incident, to be honest with you. Some of you will say no because, this happens with journalists all the time and it'll be all right tomorrow and all that. I get that, but I think it's bigger than that, because if Jurgen Klopp had a problem with a journalist, he could have pulled them up at any time before that press conference started, in the corridor outside, via his press officer. Jurgen Klopp, I think, wanted to do that yesterday in front of the cameras, personally, even though it was spur of the moment. He could have took him to one side and said, hey, you. Do you know what I mean? They could have had a private conversation. The thing is, the boss looked exceptionally angry, didn't he? He was like, I've never seen him look that mad, ever. And he did look a broken man yesterday. After the game, he looked like he was going to cry, I thought. So it's not good to see. And it's not good to see, a manager turning on a journalist. It's entertaining for us. We like it. It's funny. It's James Pearce being put in his place and all that. But it's still not a good look for the club. And people will use that against the manager. And I think it also signifies that there is a lot of stress and pressure and things going on. What you've got to imagine is when that camera stopped rolling, we're all talking about it, right? Here I am today, I've just got up, making myself a cup of tea, and we're talking about it again. And people in that industry, all them journalists, because they're like that, right? In that clique especially, they'll all be talking about it, and it's just like a bad vibe, And they're all men, they're grown men, and it's football, and in football you fall out with people from time to time, and then you get on with it. That's what I describe as being mature and manly. A real man might have an argument or might say something stupid. He might still stand by what he feels, but the next day he'll pat you on the back and go, "We're all right, we're cool, yeah." That's how I operate in life. Away from football, in real life, if I have an argument with someone, whether it's a partner or a friend, it doesn't continue, Whether I'm right or wrong, I say, well, next day I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. So I just think that Klopp has, over the last couple of months, snapped at journalists when he didn't need to snap at journalists, right? And I've pulled him up for that. Not personally, one-on-one, but from we've discussed this on here. Let me shut that window because all the dogs are outside. A journalist asked him a question recently, and people like to see journalists get shot down. But in that particular instance, I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, this guy's only asking, he wasn't asking a ridiculous question or anything. I love it when a manager shuts down a journalist for asking a stupid question. Your team get beat 4-0 or something, and the journalist's like, so you're disappointed today then? You know what I mean? So, it's still not good to see. Even I've enjoyed the little, put down there, James put in his place. Because he's a smarmy so-and-so, isn't he? So-and-so. Have you noticed that? I'm trying not to swear in the videos. Smarmy so-and-so. And I think he deserves it. That was his the equaliser, if you like, for all them Liverpool fans that have been mocked by James Pearce. So I'm sure they're all buzzing about it. But it's still not good. It's still not good. It shows that there's, relationships are frosty. Whether James Pearce was right, to be pulled up, whether it's a mistake, whatever, it's irrelevant. It shows you how the pressure is spilling over. And it's not a good look. And you might just say, well, it's only because we lost Dunk. I don't believe that. I believe it's an accumulation of things. And we know the boss doesn't like to lose. No one likes to lose, but he wants to put it right. He's under pressure. We've got lunatics saying that Klopp should be fired. I mean, how can anyone think that? I mean, yes, he is not immune from criticism, right? But I was thinking about this morning, like how you can look at things in life. So if you think you've got a painter and decorator, right, and he's worked for a company for years, and he goes in a room and he paints it, right, he's got his brush, right, he's painting it, and his boss comes in and goes, that looks great, that, David. Well, you've done a good job there. Oh, thanks, Gaffer. Right, can you do the other one, the other house down the road? Yeah, I'll go and do that. Right, and he goes, does the other house, paint. And he keeps doing that and over again, and his boss is saying, you're doing really good, Dave, you're doing great. But over time, his paintbrush starts chipping away, and it gets thinner and bristly, and it's not as good, right? So one day he's painting his new house, right? Painting the house, right? This room. And his boss comes in and goes, I'm sorry, Dave, we're going to have to let you go, mate. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, look at the state of it. It's terrible. Yeah, but you've still got the same brush from 2 years ago. I'm good, you know what I can do. Look at what I've done before. When I had a new brush. That's not the point, Dave. You see my point? You can only work as good as the tools that you're given, right? And I would even, if you want to look at it that way, I would imagine that the initial paintbrush probably had a bit of tape around it to make it work, because that's what Jurgen Klopp does. Jurgen Klopp has worked miracles with the budget that he's got at Liverpool. Miracles. But he's not immune from criticism. But I don't think it's fair to fire Dave because he didn't do a good job on the last house, because he's using, what he's been had to make do with, basically. So Dave could at that point turn around and say, hang on, boss, get me some new paintbrushes, and my next room that I do, it'll be amazing, and I can put this right, and we'll be all right. You know how good I am. So it's the same thing, isn't it, guys? It's the same thing. A little bit more complicated, maybe, but it's the same thing. You can't just say, fire Klopp, get rid of Klopp, because surely you only make those decisions when you judge someone when they've had the best paintbrush, right? Do you know what I mean? So give him the stuff, and if he fails, then you can say, Dave, you're taking the mickey, mate. You've got all the best gear, and look, you're underperforming. It's not good enough. We're going to get someone else. You can't fire Dave until you give him a good toothbrush. Be there forever with that, won't he? I was painting the wall with a toothbrush. I think I'm still a bit tipsy from last night. No, I'm not. Definitely not. I don't feel good though. But do you see what I mean, guys? So anyway, in summary, I think that the incident yesterday, as funny as it was, we don't want to be seeing repeats of that. And if James Pearce had anything about him, he should write about that incident. He should write about that and go, well, I got put in my place, and he should explain. That's what he should do, rather than going on Twitter like he did yesterday, I believe, saying, it's a rather quiet press conference. And everyone's in the comments going, we saw what happened. Do you know what I mean? Behave. Anyway, James, it serves you right for mocking people. It really does serve you right. And James Pearce or not, if I thought the gaffer was wrong, I would say so. Honestly, I would, guys. So, these journalists, they've got a job to do, and it's not right to have a go at them. And instead of having a go at the journalists, Jurgen, that was the ice machine. Instead of having, if you're going to stand up to the journalists, ordinary people in society, whether we like them or not, and you're going to hold them to account, maybe you should be doing that with the ownership as well, instead of coming out and telling all of us, well, we can manage it, I'm happy with it. So if Jurgen says he's happy with what he's got, it's his own stupid fault, isn't it? If he says, well, I can manage with this paintbrush, then it's his own stupid fault. Alright guys, that's it. Alright, speak to you in a bit.